Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the final round of Base's Pick. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. I'm not even, and the thing is, there's actually other fights that I should be talking about. There's not technically this weekend, but Monday, like Junto Nakatani's fighting Sayo Setsumi, Tenshin Nasukawa. I'm not even giving that energy right now, which is disrespectful because I like a lot of those boxers, and even the fights they're in, I'm gonna be tuned in at my desk at work. But I have to talk about this fight because this is a fight we didn't know we were getting. None of us knew we needed, but the fight is happening. That's Joseph Parker against Martin Bakole. And whereas Joseph Parker was the B side in the fight with Daniel Dubois, he is the firm A side in this fight. It's his belt that is on the line, his WBO interim title. So basically his number one status, his mandatory status with the WBO is on the line. And the WBO is the next in line for Alexander Usyk within his rotation of belts. And yeah, look, I mean, Joseph Parker took this fight on 48 hours notice. Martin Bakole, very dangerous. A lot of people say feels like he's the boogeyman. He doesn't get the opportunities. He's too dangerous to take on. People don't want to fight him. Look, I mean, he's undoubtedly the undisputed heavyweight sparring champ of the world. He's got all the belts in the ring when it comes to sparring. Broke Anthony Joshua down, beat him up, broke Daniel Dubois' nose twice, stopped Usyk to the body, beat up Joe Joyce according to that, gave Derek Chisora the business. That's all we hear about is the sparring stories. Well, now he's got the chance to put it into play in the ring. Here's where I'm going to go, because this fight's a bit harder to sort of break down in terms of the styles. But what I will say is, I said on the live stream that I did yesterday, Martin Bakole is coming off the couch. He hasn't been in a training camp yet. He was about to start a training camp for his fight against Efe Ajagba, which is taking place in May. We're in February, so he would have been looking to have maybe 9 to 10 weeks of a training camp, if that. He's in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He wasn't even in Scotland training, so there's absolutely no way that he was in the gym ticking over. I said in the chat I believe he's probably about 300 to 310 pounds. I saw a video with Ade earlier on today where he believes he's probably hitting 320, 330. So with that being said, the way that you kind of look at this fight is, ultimately this fight to me, if he is in that condition, and I haven't, the weigh-ins, I haven't seen them yet. I don't even know if he's made it there in time to do a weigh-in at this point. But I would assume that based on, he's got the kind of body and physique where he is able to just kind of fight, but the rounds is going to be the important thing here. My opinion is this fight ultimately is a 3 to 4 round fight. If you saw the very first round against Jared Anderson, right? Every time Jared Anderson threw a shot to the body or tried to throw a shot to Bakole, he almost looked at him and laughed, kind of thing. I think he knocked him down in the first round as well, right? In the second round, Jared Anderson actually did some good work. He still lost the round, but he did some good work. But in that second and in that third round, all of a sudden, even though Bakole was in shape, that body work started to look like it was affecting. There was some headshots that looked like they were starting to bother him. He never looked buzzed or rocked, but it looked like he was troubled. It maybe looked like he didn't like what was happening. And in those moments, Jared Anderson actually had some good successes, but Bakole was just still too fresh. I think against Joseph Parker in this one, if Joseph Parker can keep on the outside, not basically exchange, not try to sit in the pocket and almost try and push Bakole back, because that's not going to work. Bakole is a huge individual. If he's 310, 320, 330, you're not going to be able to sit on the inside, try to hold and clinch. He's going to walk you back. You're going to try and walk him back, and you're just going to be wasting energy for the sake of it. So Joseph Parker, in my opinion, he has to obviously stand close enough in front of him to make Martin Bakole want to throw, but then he's got to be able to be fleet-footed enough that Martin Bakole then has to actually pick up his feet and walk towards him. He's got to box him. Bakole said in that Jared Anderson fight, he tried to fight me. That was the wrong tactic. He should have tried to box me. So clearly he knows that someone with the movement that can make him turn and make him not be able to set his feet, and he's going to have to turn with them, he's going to have to move forward, he's going to have to sort of step back, he's going to have to try to cut the ring to the side. All of that extra movement is ultimately going to drain his energy tanks quicker. So Joseph Parker trying to go in there and strongman him and show that that Samoan spirit and try to fight with him, especially early, is going to be the mad danger. Now personally, every single moment that Martin Bakole is in this fight, he will be dangerous. But we only have to look at the Michael Hunter fight to see the blueprint. Like those first 3 to 4 rounds, even though in that fight Michael Hunter won a lot of those rounds and won them quite convincingly, that's where he's fresh. He always fades, Martin Bakole always fades kind of around the 5 to 6 mark, and then it's about he manages the rounds after that. He's never gone 12. Joseph Parker's gone 12 on numerous occasions, so he knows that his gas tank is much better than Martin Bakole's, and he knows that he's conditioned enough to do those rounds if he has to. The problem is, does he take a beating or enough of a beating in those first rounds to the point where then Martin Bakole can actually manage the rounds a bit later, reserve the energy, but then throw those big punches a bit later on? I think because of the fact that Joseph Parker is obviously he hasn't planned for this fight. This is a slightly different game plan, although he has Martin Bakole has a smaller reach than Daniel Dubois, so whatever Parker was working on, he can actually still kind of implement it against Martin Bakole maybe in a safer knowledge, knowing that his punches have to travel further to actually reach him, which also means that Martin Bakole may have to overreach at times in order to catch him, which is something that he was actually doing in the Jared Anderson fight. It's just the fact that because Anderson was obviously the slightly shorter of the two, the less experienced, he wasn't able to get out of the way. Plus he backs up and he's sort of backs up with his chin in the air, back in straight lines, whereas Joseph Parker will dip down underneath shots. He'll try to move off to the side, he'll try to throw with you from an angle and catch that rhythm. But I do think Martin Bakole is going to be very dangerous in the first part of this fight. But I think ultimately the experience and the better quality of opposition that Joseph Parker has faced in his career is what is going to tip the scale. As much as Martin Bakole is lauded as the boogeyman, he might be the best heavyweight in division. His best win is Jared Anderson, who is nothing but a prospect. He was a highly touted prospect, but he was a prospect. The Carlos Takam win was a good win, but that was obviously a very faded Carlos Takam. Obviously there's the Michael Hunter situation. Now Michael Hunter was a world-class sort of heavyweight. Don't know where he is now, but you've got that instance in there. Michael Hunter showed the blueprint of how you beat Bakole. Outside of that, you've got Tony Yoka, but obviously you've got a Tony Yoka who, for all intents and purposes, again was a prospect at that time, a highly touted prospect, being an Olympic gold medalist, but as a prospect, supposedly going through marital problems or whatever. He ended up having 3 losses in a row, so that win, I guess, hasn't aged that well for Bakole as of yet. So I say all of that to say, ultimately, he hasn't faced a true world level fighter yet and beat them. The closest you maybe would have got at the time would have been maybe Sergey Kuzmin, who was looked at as like a fringe world level guy, but you know, Michael Hunter beat him easily, dropped him in the fight. Martin Bakole had a stakeout with him, went life and death with him, and just about, I think, got a split points decision. So you can clearly see that when it comes to the levels, or when it comes to someone that is a clear operator, Bakole hasn't really shown that he is levels above the others. That's not to say that he can't be that, but I just think that the experience of Joseph Parker, in this fight is going to pay dividends. That high level experience, that ability to not buckle under pressure, that ability to stay calm and to try and find a way, and to be able, if nothing else, to just out tough Bakole for enough of a period that Bakole then slows down and Parker manages to sort of take over. I say it all the time, the Joe Joyce fight is the fight you look at now. Joseph Parker says that he was ill in that fight, and it's easy to believe that, because he looked like he was gassed out after like the second round. Now yes, he put on a little bit of size for that fight to try and match Joe Joyce for size, but from your huffing and puffing after the second, third round, and you haven't even been pressured super at that point, but he took a beating from round 1 all the way to round 11 when he eventually got knocked out, but he still made it to his feet before the 10 count. So it took Joe Joyce to beat the brakes off of him round after round after round to get him down, and then eventually for the ref to wave it off, because he's like saying, no, I'm not putting you back out there. But ultimately he got back to his feet and basically was ready to go again. Yes, Martin Bakole has better combinations, but his engine, his gas tank is nowhere near the level of a Joe Joyce. So he's going to take a lot of breaks. The same way that Tony Yoka was able to survive the 10 rounds is because Martin Bakole had to manage the gas tank after the first sort of 4 or 5 rounds in the fight. Same with Carlos Takam was a little bit different, but he was much heavier, and Takam only knows how to fight going forward, so he was there for the shots. Joseph Parker obviously has beat Takam before. He knows how to navigate those. So I ultimately think this fight, especially coming off of 2 days notice with very little cardio and real training behind him, he might try to boost it for a day, or the day of, like today, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. So I think he's got 3 solid rounds in him of hardcore pressure and work, and Joseph Parker has got to be the most switched on he's ever been in those 3 rounds, maybe 4. But come the 4th round, if Joseph Parker isn't splattered on the canvas with the ref waving it off, round 5, 6, 7, 8 onwards, it's a problem. Again, Martin Bakole has never been 12 rounds. If Joseph Parker, even if he's down after 8 rounds on the card, say that he's down 6 rounds to 2 after 8, maybe even been dropped once, from round 9 onwards, if he's got anything about him, all he's got to do is apply pressure, and I guarantee you that Bakole will either wilt, or Bakole will end up hitting the deck or getting his head knocked back several times, similar to the Michael Hunter fight, because his cardio will not be able to hold up. It will be a problem. So that's my prediction. My prediction is that Joseph Parker makes it through some very hairy moments in the first part of the fight, first 3-4 rounds, 5 rounds at a push. He's still there. He takes over in that second half of the fight, and my prediction is that he stops Martin Bakole between rounds 10 to 12, somewhere between that 10th round and those championship rounds that Bakole's never been at, especially with him at a weight that he's fighting at probably either for the first time, or he's fighting at without a camp behind him. So that's my opinion. Leave yours down below. Let me know what you guys think. This fight is intriguing. I'm so looking forward to it. Look, every prediction I've given could be horrendously wrong. That's how mad the card has been, and it has been to predict. But in my mind, that's all I can really see. Joseph Parker winning by TKO late. Bakole, sort of blows a gasket after the 5th round, 6th round, and then basically is just there to kind of be beat on, trying to have momentary success from sort of rounds 6, 7, 8, 9 onwards, getting caught, getting dropped or just, you know, just out on his feet. Referee has to jump in, a la Michael Hunter. So yeah, that's what I believe. Please leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share as always. Thank you very much for watching these videos. I've enjoyed doing them. It might only be it might be the last time that I do something like this, but again, leave it in the comments. Let me know how you guys feel about it. But for right now, that's Base's final pick. Locked.